Welcome, welcome, welcome back to another episode of the Ian Fritz Show. Big Ten record predictions. Let's get into it.
Whoa, he has trouble with the snap, and the ball is free. It's picked up by Michigan State's Jalen Watts Jackson, and he scores on the last play of the game. Unbelievable.
35, 40, 45, 50, 45. There goes Davis. Oh, my God. Davis is going to run it all the way back. Auburn's going to win the football game. Auburn's going to win the football game. He ran the missed field goal.
Okay, it's going to be on the screen behind me. It'll be up here, just like the previous two episodes. I did the ACC, I did the Big 12. If you missed those, go check those out. Also, like and subscribe. Share this to your friends, your grandma, whoever it might be. I don't care. But let's jump right in. We got the Big Ten football schedule predictions. Big Ten's big conference. They're all big conferences. I'm only doing the Power Four. Used to be the Power Five, but we'll just jump right in. Illinois, first team up. Eastern Illinois, I believe that's their team. We're just going to give them a win there. Give them a win against Eastern Illinois. No big deal. Kansas, I already did the Big 12. So Illinois is going to lose that game to Kansas. Central Michigan, we're going to give Illinois a win against Central Michigan. Connor Stallion, he is associated with that program, as you may know. So Illinois, we'll go win against Central Michigan. We're going to go loss at Nebraska. We're going to loss at Nebraska. A lot of people dogging on Nebraska still. I'm a fan of Nebraska. I think they're going to make some strides this year. Give me Nebraska in that game. We're going to go loss Penn State. Tough start for Illinois, 2-3, not great. Against Purdue, I like them to lose that game against Purdue. They're going to go loss Michigan, loss at Oregon. I'm going to give them a win against Minnesota, win against Michigan State, loss at Rutgers, and a win against Northwestern. So what's it looking like? It's looking like a 5-7 year from Illinois. That is not ideal. However, it could be worse. So we're gonna go five. Oh, that is way too big of a font. Whoops. We're gonna go 5-7 for Illinois. Not great, but it's Illinois. I'm not expecting much from them, and neither should you. Okay, Indiana, another team I'm not expecting much from. You know what? We're just gonna give them a shocker loss right off the bat with FIU. Big time shocker right there. WIU, not even sure who that is. We're going to give them a win there, though. UCLA, we're going to give them a loss. Now, wait, no. Yep, we'll give them a loss. It's at UCLA. Indiana, long ways to UCLA. So, loss. I'm not high on UCLA, but I'm also not high on Indiana. So, that one could go back or forth. I'm not sure. Charlotte, we'll give them a win against Charlotte. Loss Maryland. Lost Northwestern, lost Nebraska, loss against Washington. Here's a team. Here's a game right here: Michigan State, Indiana. That's just a toss up of absolutely terrible teams here. Now, I know Michigan State's got a new head coach, Jonathan Smith. He'll do great things, but not in year one. Not in year one. So we're gonna go, but we're still gonna give Indiana no at Michigan State. No loss against Michigan. That's a loss. At Ohio State, that's a loss, and against Purdue, that's a loss. Yeah, tough year for Indiana. Tough year for Indiana. 2-10. I wouldn't be shocked if they win more than two games, but they got a tough schedule. I mean, they're playing Ohio State, Michigan, Washington. That- That's tough. That's tough. Okay, Iowa. Let's see. Illinois State, know nothing about that program. I'm just going to be honest with you guys. I don't think anybody knows anything about that program, so we're going to go a win for Iowa there against Illinois State. Loss against Iowa State. I already predicted Iowa State to win that football game. So we're going to give them a loss there. We're going to give them a win against Troy. Troy's a sneaky team, as always, in the non-power fives. We're going to give them a win at Minnesota, a loss at Ohio State, a win against Washington. Washington's decimated. Remember that, guys. Remember that. And we're going to give them a win against Michigan State, win against Northwestern, loss against Wisconsin, win against UCLA, off. So we'll get a win there. Win at Maryland, and they're going to win against Nebraska to close out the year. So that's going to be a 9-3 year from Iowa, and shocking. That's a typical year from Iowa, 9-3. They're always going to be solid on defense. Not sure what anybody's going to do on offense against them. So, I'm not expecting much more from Iowa. They could sneak a 10 win if they beat Iowa State. I don't foresee them beating Ohio State or Wisconsin, but this isn't a terribly difficult schedule for Iowa. So this could be a sneaky team in the Big Ten. Sneaky team. All right, Maryland. Let's fly through some of these here. Maryland, win against UConn, win against Michigan State. I already had them losing to Virginia, win against Villanova. They beat Indiana. See Indiana schedules earlier. They beat Northwestern. They lose. They lose to USC. They beat with Minnesota. They beat Minnesota. They lose to Oregon. They beat lose to Rutgers. They just lost to Iowa just in the last schedule, and they lose to Penn State. So start off the year strong. But they finished the year 6-6. Maryland Terrapins. Sneaky really good logo for the Maryland Terrapins. I kind of like a turtle. It's odd, or a terrapin. If someone comes at me for calling it a turtle, don't. Okay. Anyways, move right along. Michigan, big time schedule for Michigan. They play some big time teams. All right, Fresno State. They're going to start off the year good. Fresno State's no scrub either. I mean, that's a sneaky game right at the beginning of the year. They're going to be favored by double digits, but Fresno State's a good non power four team, so watch out for that game. Texas, they get them at home. However, I think Texas is too good this year. I'm going to give Michigan a loss in that game. Could go either way though. Could go since it's at home. Wouldn't be surprised if Michigan is in it at the end of the game, but I see Texas win that game. All right. Arkansas State, that's a win. USC, that's a win if it's at home. Minnesota, that's a win. At Washington, I think they lose that game. Shocker on the road. I think they dropped that one. They beat Illinois. Oh. That was the wrong. That was on the wrong game there. There we go. They beat Illinois. I thought they were about to play their same team here. You can't do that. They beat Michigan State. They lose to Oregon. I like Oregon this year. Everybody does. They beat Indiana. Everybody's beating Indiana. They beat Northwestern. Here we go. The big game. What's going to happen? Is Michigan going to win 4 in a row? I don't foresee it this year. Ohio State's going to be too good. Ohio State is going to be too good. So an 8-4 year for Michigan. Look, 8-4 is not ideal. However, with the schedule they have, if they beat Texas, I could see them going 9-3, 10-2. Washington, I predicted them to lose that game. That could go either way. Guys. All right. Michigan State. This is gonna be bloody here. This is gonna be bloody. We're starting off with a win, but they lost to Maryland. They're gonna beat PVAMU. Everybody beats PVAMU, so it's W for Michigan State there. They already lost to Boston College. They're gonna lose to Ohio State, lose to Oregon. Back-to-back weeks, Ohio State, Oregon. That is tough. And then they go Iowa, Michigan. Loss. This is the toughest 4-game stretch in the Big Ten. I feel confident saying that. They go Ohio State, Oregon, Iowa, Michigan. Then you get scrub Indiana. So we're going to give Michigan State the win there. And they're going to lose to Illinois. They'll lose to Purdue. And they'll lose to the Rutgers. So 3-9 year from Michigan State. Not good at all. But they have a very difficult schedule, especially that midseason stretch right there. Ohio State, Oregon, Iowa, Michigan. That's going to be a long month for Michigan State fans. It's going to be misery. Okay. Minnesota already lost to North Carolina. Rhode Island, that's a W. Nevada, W. Iowa, I had them losing that game. Michigan, they lost that game. USC, they'll lose that game. UCLA, they'll win. They'll win against UCLA. Maryland, what I have the Maryland doing in that game? I had Maryland winning. So loss right there. They'll beat Illinois. I believe they will not beat Illinois. My bad. They will not beat Illinois. They'll lose to Rutgers. I like Rutgers. I don't like them, top 4 team in the Big Ten, but they're a sneaky team this year. Sneaky team. Okay. Penn State they'll lose and Wisconsin they'll lose. So tough year to finish off. Yeah, Minnesota. I hate what I've done to Minnesota here. 3-9. I don't even know if I believe that, but I have to. I have to believe it. So because that's what I did. So not good at all, and that could very well be way off. That's why you do this. All right, Nebraska win against UTEP, win against Colorado, win against Northern Iowa, win against Illinois. They could be 4-0 to start the year, and they're going to be 5-0. They'll drop one to Rutgers. Right the ship against Indiana, lose to Ohio State, beat UCLA, and then drop the last 3 at USC, against Wisconsin, and at Iowa. Okay, so that's a 7-5 year. 7-5. No, wait. 4, 5. That's 7-5. 7-5 from Nebraska. Not bad at all. Matt Rule continues to improve there. So 7-5. All right, Northwestern. You'll beat Miami of Ohio. No, you will not. You will not beat Miami of Ohio. Lost to Duke. Sure. I'll give you a win against Eastern Illinois. You'll lose to Washington. Did you beat Indiana? You did beat Indiana because Indiana's terrible. Okay, at Maryland, that's a loss. Wisconsin, that's a loss. Iowa, that's a loss. Purdue, that's a loss. Ohio State loss. Michigan loss. Illinois, that's a loss. Yeah. It's gonna be going back to the middle against Northwestern this year. It's not gonna be a fun year for Northwestern. Not gonna be a fun year at all for Northwestern. So 2-10. Yikes. Yeah, back to the norm for Northwestern. Okay, halfway through here. Let me take a sip. If anybody wants one of these, let me know. We'll get you one. I mean, it's a really good looking mug. It's a really good looking mug. Okay, Ohio State. Ohio State, big time team. Big time team. Favored to win the national championship by pretty much everyone out there. They got the best talent in the country, best roster. What is it going to be? It's going to be a loss to Akron to open the year. I'm going to shock you guys. I think they lose that game. I'm just kidding. That would be. I'd be psychotic to say they lose to Akron. So they're going to win. Western Michigan, that's a win. A bye week in your third week. That's not what you want. Ideally, later in the week, that would be better. Marshall win. Michigan State win. Iowa win at Oregon. Here we go. Since it's in Eugene, I'm giving the win to the Oregon Ducks. Give me Oregon. Nebraska win. Penn State win. Purdue win. Northwestern win. Indiana win. And Michigan, that's a win. Ryan Day finally rights the ship against Michigan this year, as I said earlier. So, look, it's going to be an 11-1 year from Ohio State. Really, really good. That likely gets them into the Big Ten title game, which likely gets them into the college football playoff. Okay. Oregon right here. It's going to be a good year for Oregon. Good year for Oregon. Idaho win. Boise State win. Oregon State win. UCLA win. Michigan State win. Ohio State win. Purdue win. Illinois win. I think they dropped the game at Michigan, but I think they beat Maryland. They beat Wisconsin, and they beat Washington to finish off the year. So it's going to be an 11-1 year from the Oregon Ducks. Those are going to be your two teams in the Big Ten championship. Just going to spoil it for you here. I don't believe in Penn State. I don't believe in any of these other teams following. There's some sneaky teams, but those are clear-cut two best teams in the Big Ten. Okay, Bowling Green. They're going to win against Bowling Green, win against Kent State, win against Illinois, win against UCLA, lose at USC. They'll lose at Wisconsin. They'll lose to Ohio State. I think they beat Washington at home. I think they beat Purdue on the road. They beat Minnesota on the road. And they beat Maryland to finish off the year. That's going to be a 9-3 year from Penn State. Not bad. Typical Penn State year. So yeah, typical Penn State year. Purdue. Okay, you beat Indiana State. You lose to Notre Dame. You lose at Oregon State. You lose to Nebraska. I believe Nebraska. I had Nebraska winning that game. I did. So it's a loss. You lose at Wisconsin. You beat Illinois though. Let's check that real quick. Yeah, you do beat Illinois. Okay. You lose to Oregon on a Friday night. You beat Northwestern. Here you go. Right the ship there. You lose to Ohio State. You lose Penn State. You beat Michigan State because they're terrible. And you beat Indiana to finish off the year. So 2, 4, 5, and 7 year from Purdue. Look, the Boilermakers, they're not looking to go 5 and 7, but that's what you look. You're adding all these top tier teams and all these big old conferences, and you're facing them. That's what's going to happen. You're going to go 5 and 7, and you're going to have to deal with it. Okay. I'm just telling you like it is. Okay, Howard. It's going to be a win for Rutgers to start the year on a Thursday night. Win against Akron. They lost to Virginia Tech. If you go check out the ACC schedule predictions, if you want to see how Virginia Tech does, they do very well. Washington Friday night. I can't. Yeah. I'll let Rutgers win that game. On the road at Nebraska, I think they win this game. I think they lose at home to Wisconsin. I think they beat UCLA. They lose to USC, and then they beat Minnesota. They beat Maryland. They beat Illinois, and they beat Michigan State. So Rutgers, you're going to have a 9-3 year. You're going to have a 9-3 year. I really like you guys this year. It's going to be a good year to be a Rutger fan. Okay, UCLA. We got the newcomers here, right here. UCLA. What's going to happen here? Look, some of you probably saw the video of their new head coach talking in the Big Ten Media Days press conference. It was not a good press conference. He was stumbling over his words. Hey, look, we all do it. We all do it, me included. But he was kind of talking real monotone. It wasn't a good press conference. It didn't look great for UCLA fans, if there are any out there. So at Hawaii, you're going to start the year off in Hawaii with a win. So good for you guys. That's probably going to be a fun time down there. You'll beat Indiana because they stink. But right here, here's where it goes downhill. Look at this 3-game stretch. You have to go to Death Valley and lose to LSU. You have to play Oregon at home. That's automatic L. Then you have to go to Penn State. Look at this from UCLA. They're going all the way to Louisiana. They're coming back home playing Oregon, and they're going to Pennsylvania. Absurdity. Absurdity. They're going to lose to Minnesota, I think. Let me check Minnesota's schedule. Yeah, they'll lose to Minnesota. They'll lose to Rutgers. They'll lose to Nebraska. Not good from UCLA this year. They'll lose to Iowa, lose at Washington, lose to USC, and they will lose to Fresno State. So they're going to finish the year off with 10 straight losses. Look, is that going to happen? Probably not, but it will. So give them 10 straight losses. Why not? All right, USC starting the year off against LSU. It's a loss. You'll beat Utah State. You'll lose to Michigan. You'll lose to Wisconsin. I like Wisconsin this year, guys. You'll lose. No, you'll beat Minnesota. Beat Minnesota. This is a fun game. Penn State, USC. Penn State loses this one on the road with the dreaded USC home field advantage. But I think going Pennsylvania to California, I think that's going to hurt them. At Maryland, that's a win. Against Rutgers, I believe that is a win for USC. Yes, it is. Washington, I like them to win that game. No, on the road, that's a USC loss right there. Against Nebraska, that's a win. UCLA, that's a win, and I like them to lose to Notre Dame. Washington, Weber State to start the year. W. Eastern Michigan win. Washington State. I'll give the Cougars the win that game. Northwestern, that's a win. Rutgers, that is a win. Nope, it's a loss. Michigan loss. Iowa loss. Indiana, that was a win. USC, that's a win. Penn State, a loss. And UCLA, that is a win. Oregon, look, I mean, that's just, you got to finish your year off against Oregon. It's never going to be fun. Now, it was fun for Washington last year, but not going to be fun this year. Not going to be fun this year. Going to be a completely different team with Jedd Fisch at the helm up there. But, we'll see what they do. What's the record here for them? It's going to be 7-5. Look, I think that's better than what some people are predicting them to do, but it's going to be 7-5 year from Washington. And USC went 9-3. So bounce back year for Lincoln Riley in the first year in the Big Ten. But you never know. He could drop a couple of those games. That Penn State game, that could be a loss. So we're going to go Wisconsin here. To finish the year off, they beat Western Michigan. They beat South Dakota. They lose to Alabama. That could be a fun game. It's at home up there in Wisconsin, Camp Randall. So that's going to be a really fun game. Probably the game of the week in week 3. But then they lose that game, go to the bye week, and they beat USC coming off the bye week. They beat Purdue. They lose to Rutgers though. No, they beat Rutgers. Excuse me. They beat Northwestern. They beat Penn State. Did they beat Iowa? Can't remember what I did with Iowa up here. They beat Iowa. Bye week, I think they lose that game against Oregon. Yep, lose to Oregon. But they beat Nebraska and they beat Minnesota to finish the year off. It's a bounce back year for Fickell. Yeah, Fickell. Yeah, that's his name. So in his second year up at Wisconsin, bounce back year, 10-2 year from Wisconsin. That's a nice year. That's a nice year. But everybody knows it. We are going to have these two teams in the Big Ten title game. Ohio State, Oregon. Who's going to win this one? I think in season, I gave it to Oregon. We're going to give it to Oregon again. Oregon are going to be your Big Ten champions. They're going to get probably a top 2 seed in the college football playoff. Okay, so that's it for the Big Ten record predictions. Here's the screen. It looks beautiful. It looks fantastic. There it is. Comment down below what you disagree with, what you see happening. I love to engage with you guys. It's fun. If you wouldn't mind, subscribe, send it to somebody else, tell them to subscribe, and they'll get paid $5. They won't, but they may. So thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for the next video. It's going to be the SEC record prediction. It's going to be a really fun one. SEC has a lot of fun games this year. It could go a lot of different ways. So stay tuned for that video. Thank you guys for watching. I love you guys. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Whoa, he has trouble with the snap, and the ball is free. It's picked up by Michigan State's Jalen Watts Jackson, and he scores on the last play of the game.
35, 40, 45, 50, 45.